I'm here with Gary Blackwood, who's the State Member for Narrabeen and also the Shadow Assistant Minister for Forestry. Gary is also a fifth generation forestry family, from a fifth generation forestry family, and deeply understands the issues of forestry and logging and how it affects local communities. Daniel Andrews last week, Gary, made an announcement that will decimate local communities like yours. Can you tell us about the announcement that he made?
Sure. So what Daniel Andrews announced last week is effectively an end to native forest harvesting by 2030. Now, we've got to understand it's a very complex issue, but the bare basics of this announcement are that there is no science in this. This is purely and utterly a political decision based on shoring up green preferences in about 28 seats around Melbourne. Now, the facts about native harvesting are that we have access to about 6% of the public native forest to harvest. 94% is already locked up in reserves and parks and other set-aside areas from harvesting. So of that 6% of area that we have available for timber production, only 0.04% is harvested each year. So the footprint left by the timber harvesting community is minimal compared to what is actually locked up in parks and reserves. All of the values that we must protect and we must preserve, such as threatened species, leadbeater's possum, greater glider, and any other plant or animal that may become threatened over time, all of the representations of all of those animals and plants are in that 94% of the public native forest estate that is locked up and set aside from harvesting. But none of the survey work that must be taken out to find out exactly what number of threatened species are in the native forest estate. None of that survey work has been carried out in the parks and reserves. Only in the 6% that is going to be that is set aside for as production forest for the timber industry. So what we're saying is there's no science in this. The survey work that has been conducted has increased the known number of threatened species in that 6% that will be harvested at some time over the next 80 years.
Now, Gary, what is the practical effect in communities like yours of this decision? What will it mean for your community?
Okay, so at the moment across the state there are around 21,000 people employed in the timber industry. Direct employment in the native forest industry, that is the people who process the timber in the sawmills, the people who work in Australian paper at Maryvale, the people who harvest and haul the timber from the bush, from the native forest to the market, is around about 4,000. So there's 4,000 jobs that are on the line here, and there's no replacement. The Andrews government have been misleading and duplicitous by suggesting that by 2030 there'll be enough plantation in the ground for industry to transition to. That is not humanly possible. There's no plantation in the ground that we will be ready to harvest by 2030 to keep Australian paper going or keep the sawmills going that currently cut high quality timber, timber that goes into flooring board, furniture, framing, all of the things that are of a high quality, tables and chairs, all the things that people use every day have timber product in them from our native forest. Australian paper will not be able to continue to produce reflex paper, which is, there's thousands of tonnes of reflex paper sold each year, and it's high quality copy paper. All these high-end products, high-end value products come from the native forest industry. That will disappear. The communities that rely on these jobs are the ones that are going to be hardest hit. You can multiply one forest job 4 times as it has an impact through their community.
Well, Gary, I was going to say, so there might be 4,000 direct jobs, but are you able to quantify how many indirect jobs there are? And yeah. This does have a community-wide effect.
Yeah, and that's right. And for every job in the forest industry, you multiply that 4 times. So effectively, 4,000 direct jobs turns into 16,000 jobs by the time it has an impact on those people that supply services and other support to this industry. Your fuel companies, your repair shops, your manufacturers, the people who sell equipment, the people who manufacture equipment, they're all going to be impacted by this decision. the sporting clubs in each community, all the things that timber industry families get involved in each of their communities will be impacted, and will have an enormous impact on those remote country communities in particular. They'll never recover from this.
Gary, thanks so much for joining us. What I'm hearing from you is that this plan by the government is based on false science, that it is bad not only for the industry but it's bad for communities, that it will destroy jobs, it will destroy individuals' lives and families as well.
That's right.
And perhaps people working in this industry also are at a stage of their own professional lives where reskilling just simply isn't an option. And those are the sort of things that I think we need to consider in combating this decision by the Andrews government.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking people who are in their late 40s through to late 50s, maybe even some in their early 60s. And for them to transition to another industry would be almost impossible at their stage of life. For them to transition to other employment opportunities, it's very difficult once you get past the age of 50 to actually get a job. So they're going to be really impacted, and of course that impact then flows onto their families and the people they're supporting, and their communities as well. So it's a massive impact across the board and across Victoria.
Thanks very much for joining us, Gary.
Pleasure.